What does happily married even mean? You know what's been messing with me lately? This phrase, we've been happily married. Because I think to myself, okay, what does that actually mean? Are we talking every day? Are we talking no conflict? Are we talking you just tolerate each other really well? Because if that's the standard, a lot of us are really sitting here like, damn, am I doing something wrong? Now, I feel like I speak for a lot of us who didn't actually grow up with real models of healthy relationships. We heard the phrase, we saw the anniversary posts, but nobody broke down what happy actually meant. And then let's be honest, okay? Sometimes you find out later that there was cheating, that there was resentment, that there was substance use issues, silence, or just straight up emotional distance. They were roommates the whole time, or one person dominated the entire dynamic. So now we're sitting here like, wait, so that's what happy marriage is? So you've been married 20 plus years. That's a happy marriage? Now, I don't even think people are lying. I think we just truly don't have language. I'm realizing the more that I sit with couples, those couples that seem to have figured it out, it isn't because they're perfect. It's because they got to this point and they decided, is it going to be my ego or is it going to be the relationship? And a lot of relationships never even start from a mature place to begin with. So what are we even measuring? I really have to think about that. You go online and now everything is highlights, and I'm not mad at that. People are allowed to be happy and share their joy. But as a consumer, right, as consumers, we have to understand we are not seeing the full picture at all. Anybody can set up a camera. We have to remember that. Anybody can be in front of a camera. It's what happens when we're off camera. But what's happening now is we are comparing our real-time struggles that are off camera to someone else's curated camera moments. We're not sitting here and robbing people of your happiness, but let's be a little bit realistic here. I think that's why there's this new trend where couples are showing their bickering moments before their actual reels that they post for their whatever platform that they have, right? And it puts that realistic reality in it, because sometimes right before vacation, during the holidays, we're in conflict, even after the camera was rolling or before. But if we can't ground ourselves in that reality, it'll mess with our heads. And I truly think that's why mental health is becoming the all-time issue right now, especially in the United States. But let's talk about this one specific part that I don't think is being talked about enough. And this comes to relationships. You don't actually know who to trust, even in therapy spaces. I'm just going to say it, okay? I've seen therapists project like crazy. Bias about interracial relationships, bias about religion, bias about politics. And I'm just thinking to myself, what are you going to do when you're sitting in front of somebody who has a different alignment politically or a different worldview? What are you going to do if someone's sitting with somebody that's in a racial background you might not like, and they look like you? You're now faced with something. Because for me as a professional, I'm going to challenge your blind spots in your relationship. We have to. That's part of what we're supposed to do as clinicians. I also have to challenge the blind spots in how you see people. That even includes political figures. We have to weigh out the equation. And a lot of times, especially in today's society, we are truly identified by political ideologies, and it's what rules us, and it's what we're measuring against. Let me give you an example of something that I've seen. It doesn't matter like what side, up, down, left, right, color, it doesn't matter. But let's just say hypothetically, right? Someone leans more conservative in some areas in their life, but they're sitting in a room full of maybe liberals. Does that mean that conservative person is up Donald Trump's ass hanging out with his dingleberries? No, it doesn't. It just means that they have their own value systems. But that's nuance. And if we can't live in nuance, that's a dangerous game to play psychologically. But this is exactly what I'm talking about. We cannot separate identity from perception. And when you're not able to do that, you're bringing in this rigidity into your relationships because it's the same muscle. Now, let's understand something important. Let's zoom into the micro, because from a family systems perspective, this is Bowen's work. We don't enter into these relationships in a blank state. We enter into these relationships with emotional blueprints, patterns, roles, expectations. And if we don't examine those, we don't actually choose the relationship dynamic. We just recreate it. So when I'm sitting with whoever, couples, one of the biggest things, especially when I'm working with clients especially when I'm with individuals who maybe are not in healthy relationships, I have to make it and put it on the table that even though we can deem this as a very unhealthy relationship and you deserve better, it is not up to me to tell you need to leave. That is up to you. And right now, if you can't do the process, you can't get through and metabolize the grief and the process because you're too busy hypervigilant worrying about where your therapist stands on, oh, I feel like they're mad at me because I'm still here. You're never going to get any good shadow work done, and you might never leave. But if we remove that out of the equation, hey, I'm just going to put this on the table. It's not about me and what I think you need to be doing. It's about what's sustainable for you. And if right now leaving is not an option, cool. Leaving is not an option. We're going to learn skills, strategies, and you're going to do a lot of homework to make it livable, at least sustainable for you. Okay, I'm still going to drop those bombs. I'm still going to put those like reminders that you have agency and you have choice, and fear is going to be real. But I'm never going to force somebody to leave. That's not my MO. I'm not the judge or the jury on who's right, who's wrong. But we are going to learn the skills. And sometimes people aren't actually ready to learn the skills. Sometimes we've been hanging out for 2 years, a long time, and I'm starting to feel like this is just you really looking for a brunch buddy. But that's fine. But let's be honest about it. Okay, because sometimes we really connect just so we have an outlet, not because we actually want to change anything. And we have to get really clear on that. Otherwise, you're perpetuating a lot of harm because of an unconscious expectation, and you don't even really know what you want. Or maybe you do, but you don't want to be honest about it. So again, what does happily married even mean? Because the more I work with couples, the more I realize it's not about comparisons, it's about emotional patterns. Now, here's where it gets dangerous, okay? Because the algorithm, it's not trying to heal your relationship. It's hooking your nervous system. So it feeds you, all men are this, all women are that, this is toxic, and you need to leave immediately. Go run, like yesterday. So we have to understand this because you're bonding with that content that only confirms the pain. That's classical conditioning, Pavlovian style. And you keep pairing your partner with negative meaning, and over time that becomes your default perception. That's the second arrow. The first arrow is what happened. The second arrow is the meaning that you make of it. And if you're going online being confirmed, now all these men are the problem. Well, honey, now you're on a frequency, and you will continue to attract the very thing that you want to confirm is true. Now, the dance. This is what I call the dance, because relationships are a dance. But most of us, we're dancing with steps that we inherited. All right, all that choreography, all that, that two-step. You learned it from your parents, from culture, from survival. And then when we're confused why we keep stepping on each other's toes, why nobody stopped to ask, wait, do I even want these steps? Are these even dance moves I like? No. Where did I learn them? We never actually stop to reflect on that. Don't you see that as problematic? Underneath that dance, there's something deeper, the undercurrent. And if you don't understand undercurrents, you will misinterpret everything, because what you're reacting to isn't just your partner, it's your past, your nervous system, your imprints. Let's give you a real example, okay? Anytime there's a third person in a dynamic, a wife, a husband, a mother-in-law, doesn't matter whose side, boom, triangulation mayhem. Maybe it's a mom and two sisters, boom, triangulation mayhem. Maybe it's a dad, a mom, and a child, boom, triangulation mayhem. And if we do not understand what goes on somatically, we'll bypass somatic and we'll head straight to reactivity. And reactivity only creates more waves. But can you see that if you were born in the waves? Those are the waves that you know how to ride. So when there are no waves, we end up unconsciously creating them. Now, what is a wave? There are all different types and styles of waves, all right? Because sometimes we create our own waves through internal activation when we're not thinking clearly, we're reacting, that allostatic load that builds up over time. And then you blame the relationship, and it's really just the pattern. Does that make sense? Now, this is part of the problem that I'm realizing that many people don't really want to hear, because sometimes it's not the relationship that's draining you. You're draining yourself inside the relationship. You stopped watering yourself, you stopped moving your body, you stopped regulating. So now everything feels heavier. And the easiest target to blame is your partner. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. I want you to think of who we were when we were single. Okay, I'll use myself real quick as an example. Before I met my husband, I was living in my little tree house apartment. I called it a tree house because it was the second floor and it was surrounded by trees and it was just so beautiful and I loved it. Now, I lived in that bubble. And it's very easy for some of us to get really attached to living in our safety bubble that we created because there were no other energies around us. Okay, it was just our energy. We cultivated all of it. So then that's why we think we're healing, but we're just surrounded by our own energy. We're not around anything else. That's why being around sameness can be dangerous, because you're not really training your neural pathways to experience anything but the energy that you think is safe. So we get into a relationship. Early on, okay, it's dandy, right? We're in the cupcake phase. It's brilliant. And then we move in together. Life is lifing. Now it's stressful because now we're learning, oh crap, I came in here with this blueprint. He came in here with this blueprint. And now we're basically like playing swords with our blueprints, trying to fight whose blueprint is the dominant one so that we can create this life together, so we can create our dance together. Instead of actually learning compromised choreography to create a new dance that we created, instead of trying to inherit what we were passed down. And then we're fighting over what we inherited when we realize, oh shit, do I even want this step? I don't even like two-stepping. I'm trying to over here and do like the waltz, right? We have a choice to choose the dance, to choose the steps. And then we can come together with our partner and then we can figure out, okay, how do we make these steps flow together into this really great dance of compromise? But we can't get there because we're too busy in the sword fight. The sword fight is the surface. It's like the iceberg. We don't actually see what's the bigger problem underneath. And so that over time, we're stuck in a gridlock. We're stuck in a gridlock. We're stuck in a gridlock. And then over time, it drains you. Drains your life force energy. Now it's weighing you down. And now we stop. The first things that we lose are our habits. The things that make us feel good. We stop exercising, moving our body in whatever way that looks like for us. We stop eating in a way that we know is supposed to make us feel good. For me, I know the minute I start eating sugar and there's candy in the house, I'm not going in a good direction in terms of my own standard, right? I'm about to head into drifting land and I better grab onto something, get the candy out the house. Because for me, sugar messes me up. It makes me feel bloated. It makes me feel gross inside. And then it makes me feel brain fog. So I know that about myself. And sometimes we self-sabotage. Jessica Ann Pressler talks about this in her book, The Traitor Within. That's our traitor. We all have one. I call it the ass, the activated survival self. And so my ass immediately jumps ship I don't go to the gym. I don't do my meditation. I don't sit in my prayer ritual. I don't go walking in nature. I don't move my body before bed in the morning. I stay up late and doom scroll, and then that just feeds my brain more toxicity. And now I'm eating freaking Nerds gummies and Trolleys and not drinking water. And over time, that affects our mood. This is Dr. Joe Dispenza's work. It becomes a habit. It becomes a personality. Now I have to break that habit of who I think I am in that season, especially if it's a downtime. I got to get back to basics. That part can be really hard depending on how long you've been drifting. We could be drifting for years. And we might not know how to get back on that bike to get back into alignment with ourselves. And so we drift within our own relationships because some of us are stuck. I'm going to make a second episode about archetypes and schemas, but we get stuck in these schemas trying to chase an archetype. Oh, I got to be this kind of wife. Some of us women, we have to really go to the bathroom right now, look yourself in the mirror and be like, girl, who are you trying to be right now? This is not us. Because some of us, especially if you're a wife or a mother, you're trying to chase a blueprint that is outside of your window of tolerance. And I want you to sit and ask for yourself, who told you to do it? Because a lot of our husbands, our partners, they didn't actually tell us to do it. You inherited a script, you started acting on that script, and then you made your partner pay for it. Overfunctioners. Some of us are at 150 in zones that only require 50%. And instead of learning how to give 50%, you're demanding the environment meet you at 150. And that creates gridlock. Over time, we have to take into consideration what this allostatic load does to our bodies. Mind-body connection does to our minds. Now, I have to catch myself too. Because sometimes it's easy, because once you're in that low vibration, oh, now my partner, you're on the algorithm, it's telling you, oh, look at this partner did XYZ for their partner. And you're over here like, and you're just humming. You're humming there. A lot of us were conditioned that too. We watched just grumpy heads as parents and grandparents always nagging at each other. But we have to be really serious. Is it our husband's fault? If I don't feel good in my body, am I looking at my diet? Am I looking at my habits? Am I looking at my posture? Am I looking at the things, my fascia? Am I working out that? Because a lot of times we're just glow sticks that are so stiff that have not been cracked. We haven't metabolized all of that sediment and we're not glowing anymore. The same glow we entered into the relationship, our light dims. You might be in an unhealthy relationship and it might be your partner weighing you down and dimming your light. But a lot of times it's you, because we don't know how to be our individual self within the relationship, which is the real beauty, learning how to do it. I'm still learning, right? And it's really hard as a military spouse because I'm not in my home state. If I was in my home state and I had my home, my friends, my family, the beauty of California, like I would be on a paddleboard all the time. Like I would have my rituals in place. It's hard not living in an area where there's ocean access, lake access, without having to drive 2 hours away. Like that, yeah, I'm privileged when it comes to nature being in California. So you have to make it work, right? And you don't usually have family. You have to put yourself out there and create that friendships and that community. It takes effort. But if you're weighed down in the home and you're blaming it on the marriage, but you're not looking at your role in how you foster yourself, right? Women, we use the argument of, well, if he was single, somebody would have to clean and do his laundry. Okay, if you were single, somebody had to make yourself happy, and that was you. So again, this is where it gets even deeper, because over time, this dance that we're doing with each other, the sword fights, that becomes the habit. That habit becomes the routine. That routine becomes the personality. And now we're not just in these problems. We're in the identity. We've identified with the dance. That's neuroplasticity. And it's literally what you repeat, it wires, right? Whatever you fire together wires together. And we are firing and wiring this two-step protocol, and we're stepping on each other's toes, and it's just not the business, not the jam. It's not working. But so let's zoom out, okay? You see the same thing in politics. These days, people aren't even understanding the policy. They just hate people based on who you voted for. And to me, I really have to think about that, because if that's a muscle you exercise frequently when you're in the macro level, I think Pavlovian style conditioning, I'm obviously balancing out the equation, and you're probably doing that in your relationships too. Rigid, binary, closed-minded, and you're missing out on real connections everywhere because of that pattern. But then you're making it the world's problem. You're outsourcing it to the world. You're outsourcing it to mental health. You're outsourcing it to your ADHD, your anxiety, your depression. But you don't even think for 1 second what you constantly consume in political ideology, rhetoric, overconsumption of whatever's on the media, and all of the negativity and heaviness of what's in the media. You don't even consider that being a component. That is the same muscle I was just referring to in the relationship dynamics, where we don't water ourselves. So again, now that I kind of went on that little example, let's go back to the point. What does happily married even mean? Because I don't think it means constant happiness. I don't think that's the point of life. You know, I had a really great colleague friend tell me something that stuck with me, even as a clinician, right? Not every day has to be a good day in order to be a good day. And you don't have to always feel good for it to be a good day. So let's bring it back. Let's bring it back to the start of this conversation. Because I know for me, okay, cool. What's a happy marriage? Psychology, blueprints, nervous system. We understand that. I need the examples. What does happily married actually mean? What does it look like? I ask myself the same thing. Let me see if I can give you some examples and tell me what they feel like. Because for me, what I'm seeing in the work, in the books that I've read, everything, like just all of the things that we consume, especially if you're somebody that just really loves self-development work, you like to listen to podcasts, you like to learn XYZ. I'm realizing a happy marriage isn't going to look the same for everybody else. It's not going to look the same. A happy marriage is going to look differently for everybody. That's why comparison is it's a toxic poison. It's like CO2. It's invisible. Comparison is poison, because what nourishes one couple might suffocate another couple. So instead of giving you this fantasy idea of what a happily married means, let's give you an opening to a portal, and then you can go through that portal and maybe explore and discover it for yourself. What do you think about that? So maybe happily married means you can disagree without destroying each other. Maybe it means conflict happens, but repair happens too. Maybe it means conflict happens, but repair also happens. And that's consistent with John Gottman's work on repair attempts, because repair attempts matter more than the actual fighting, right? Maybe happily married means you don't feel lonely in the relationship. Or maybe there are moments where you do feel lonely because, again, you're not watering yourself. You're expecting your partner to be everything when some of that should be spread out to like community members in a village. Maybe it means you can be yourself without constantly being punished for it internally by you, right? I have an immediate example for this one. I'm immediately thinking about how many of us, when we hear our partner come home, we feel like we have to get up and act productive. That has nothing to do with your partner. That's probably some stuff from childhood, because because whatever we were doing before our parents got home, and then we're like, oh shit, they're here. Clean, clean, clean. Spray stuff in the air so it makes it seem like we had been cleaning. Right? That's that right there, that we're inheriting it from that. Okay? Maybe we have to learn how to surrender without feeling like we have to bring that version of us into that relationship. Now, maybe a happy marriage means that we both still laugh even in hard seasons. or that your nervous system feels safe, not perfect, not blissed out, not butterflies 24/7, but safe enough to just excel. Maybe happily married means when life beats one of you down, the other one knows how to hold the weight just for a minute. And then maybe you'll switch. Maybe it means that you're allowed to evolve. You're not trapped in the version of yourself from 5 years ago. Maybe it's you know each other's wounds, so you stop using them as weapons. Maybe happily married means that you both learned how to apologize, like for real. Not just for the 2 weeks so you can be on each other's best behavior and then go back to the original two-step. No. It's not for manipulation or fake accountability. It's true, real accountability. And maybe happily married means you still choose each other while also choosing yourselves. And what I mean by that is you're not abandoning yourself just to keep the marriage or this schema. Because if you're trying to keep a schema, you're in survival. We have to be accountable for when our ass shows up, the activated survival self. Now, let's talk religion real quick, because this is another place where people miss the pattern, because the dance lives here too. Because I'm noticing religion gives this meaning, structure, beauty. It gives us a community, but it also can give us this inherited programming that nobody's actually even examined. We're just like, here, I was told this, you have to do it too. You don't even know why you believe in what you believe in. You just inherited it. And that's the same thing with politics, family roles, gender scripts. And then we act shocked when we have to face our partner, our spouse, or our kids, and we're trying to force that script on them, and there's resistance. Okay? Then they pull away, or they emotionally cut off. We blame them. We blame culture. We blame the world. We do everything else except ask, wait, is my rigidity part of the problem? That's the shadow work. That's the portal. It's not about fancy journals and pens. It's about learning where we need to challenge our own ego. So that portal presents itself for a lot of us. And there's a lot of us that don't go through it. Because when we sit with our own grief, our own resentment, our own unlived lives, that's hard. So what do we do instead? We numb, we drink, we smoke, we scroll, we gossip, we stay busy, righteous in our identities, and just disassociated into distractions. Eventually, all of what we've avoided, it starts to sediment and it builds. The years of pain and the years of avoidance, the years of, I'm fine. And then people wonder why they feel heavy. I don't get it. You don't see all that unprocessed life that we're just bypassing? A lot of us don't, because we were conditioned to bypass it. Now, people say the world is chaos. Let's take a little field trip, okay? A nostalgic field trip back in the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s. We were outside till the streetlights came on. There was danger back then too. There was violence. There were murderers running around. There was a lot of pain. The only difference is that we were not staring that pain in the face all day. We were in the present. We were in our neighborhoods. We were in our bodies. I remember when I was that age, I was running around on my bike, my skateboard, my Razor scooter. I would be out. I would take advantage of any time I could get out the house. And I was just a little goonie, like out here exploring the land. All weather too, all weather. That was living. We were in the present moments. That attention was there. But guess where our attention lives now? Online. On crime, on politics, and on the very trauma-bonded stories of everybody else's aches that make us feel seen in ours, and that wound just never heals. It never heals. And that's what we put our energy in. And now we're on these little screens. We're putting our attention, and attention is currency. We're putting it on things. Now everybody looks the same. The groupthink mentality. We're all performing altruism, right? Can you see why we're disconnected? We have lost the uniqueness, the presence, and the wonder, that awe. Awe is so important to life. For me, that's why I really loved living near water. I needed that. It gave me a sense of awe because you never knew how deep it was, what lived down there. Oh man, your brain could expand. I have the mountain, I have the Franklin Mountains that I can stay in awe with, or the beautiful sunsets or sunrises. But for me, it's the oceans, it's the lakes, it's the sound of water that, for me, I don't know, I'm a Cancer, I'm a water sign through and through. But I need that to feel grounded. So I have to find my own ways. But that wonder is so important, and we don't have it anymore because we're in fear, we're in tension, we're in panic, we're in grief, we're in scarcity. So maybe happily married doesn't mean happy all the time. Maybe it just means two people learning how to come back to themselves while building something honest together. And it doesn't need to be perfect. And no, and please don't curate this. Just real. And let's be honest, because in this world, real might just be the happiest thing left.